And we are on.
Mexican from the islands.
Are we? Are we on?
We're live.
Are we?
We're
Man,
live.
tell us, where are we?
Yes, welcome. We have a special episode today, which might be our most drunkest episode because we have a couple of crazy people with us. We're at Mad Finn.
We'll try to behave.
One only. Yeah, we'll try to behave. Lots of editing maybe, but none other than Mario, special guest today. Mario has been in Finland for how many years?
I live here 2 years, from 2015 until 17.
Okay, and then we also have Jay Lee, Mr. Jay Lee. How long have you been in Finland?
Since 2014.
2000 what?
14.
2014. Okay, yes. So, as I said, Mad Finn is located in Pyynikin? No.
Well, Tampere.
Tampere, yes,
and,
yes.
And
outside
early
of-
Arvi.
Yeah,
And then we have a tap room in Helsinki.
Helsinki, yes. But we are at the, would you say this is like the headquarters?
In Pyynikin Trikoo.
Yeah. And we had some amazing pizza. We had some food, which we'll get into. But overall, I mean, it was very diverse group here, should I say. But let's start with the traditional shot. Let's go.
Lagermeister.
Jaeger.
It doesn't get any easier.
Keep
I
it.
can tell you that.
Helleken, right?
Oh, yeah. So, Mario, the
Hola.
myth, the man, the legend.
Here, finally, man.
I have to say this thing
Uh-huh.
because I'm also from Mexico,
Yeah.
and I moved into Finland about the time when you left,
Yeah.
and I have been hearing Tam just going on and on about you.
Yeah.
So it's very nice to finally meet you.
Nice.
So this is the first time.
Yeah.
Well, we've met before.
No, we
like,
met before, but when I was
shortly.
leaving, yeah. briefly. Like in a
Yeah.
bar, maybe.
Yeah.
At the,
But he's from Tijuana.
I am from Tijuana, born and
Very
raised.
close to my heart because I'm from San Diego.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, I'm not from San Diego, but
Primos.
I call San Diego my home.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. That's
How did you end up in Finland?
Well, I will try to be as fast as I
Yeah.
can because
Yeah.
I'm 41. I left my hometown when I was 21. I moved to Canada. I lived in Canada for 2 years.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I lived in Toronto
Yeah.
for 2 years. Then I moved to South America. I lived in Argentina and Brazil for a while. Then I moved to Japan, and then I moved to Finland from Japan. So yeah, that's how I ended up here. I was working on other stuff then, but I've been involved in beer since I was a teenager.
I will ask this because me, being a Mexican, I had never heard of Finland until I came here, basically, or a bit before I came here. How did you end up here?
I came for work, like
Just-
straight for work.
Yeah.
I got hired by a brewery here,
Yeah.
and I came start with production, and then I left production and started.
You actually have the best job in the world.
Do I?
It's like, everybody should follow his Instagram because all you do is travel the world and drink beer. I mean, I know there's more to it.
Yeah.
And we talk
But
about like
basically,
what you're basically.
If we can take the fun part, yeah.
Yeah, but basically, like your job now, like what is your job
Well,
description now?
I run all the exports worldwide for a Norwegian brewery, and
You
I.
can say the name of it.
Oh, okay, Badin.
Yeah, of course.
We're in the
Yeah.
Arctic Circle. We're like
Okay.
in the north of Norway.
Yeah.
And I do all the collabs. Like we brew together a collaboration here with my good friend Jay.
Yes.
And then dude, then that's what I do. Run all the exports. I was in Japan in January for collabs and events.
Yeah.
South Korea. So yeah, it's a really fun job, but there's a lot of things that happen.
Of
behind
course.
the corners,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
But
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
but being
Yeah.
fast.
You're drinking, but it's work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They paid me to get drunk, right?
I can't think of another job that I would love to have. So, and then we have Jay Lee over here. Jay Lee, what is your story here in Finland, and how did you come up with the name Mad Finn? I mean, obviously Finnish people are kind of mad. So, but what is your Finnish story?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, 2001, I was working for IBM as a mainframe technician.
No shit.
Okay.
And I applied for a job as a trainee software hardware architect for Nokia.
Okay.
And back then, I think Nokia's language changed to international English.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were trying to recruit people all over the world. But it was kind of a trick because the job was actually in Sydney
Okay.
and not in Finland.
Okay.
So when I applied, some guy called and was like, "Hello, would you like to come to Finland?" Okay.
Originally from Australia, or
Yeah, I'm from Australia, from Sydney, and it's quite interesting. I had a few of my mates who've been into rally driving for a long time, a lot of motorsports, and we were following a lot of the Finnish drivers.
okay,
You know, Ari Vatanen and
yeah,
Hanno
Tommy
Mikkola.
Mäkinen, all the old school guys.
Yeah, Tommy Mäkinen came a bit
before.
later. There was a guy called Henry Tuvonen back in 1986. He died. He's a big legend of the sport.
Okay,
So, then you had the F1 drivers. It was pretty cool. So
yeah.
Australians are big sporting kind of.
All the sports, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
we love sports. So,
Yeah,
I think Australia and Finland are pretty close when you think about it. Two opposite type of people, but
yeah,
we have very same business culture. In Australia, it's there's no corruption. Well, at least
Were you
not
looking at me?
from Mexico. At least not at the lower level. I always say the governments, who knows what they do. It's always a democratic, socialist, communist society, no matter where you live. We have to follow the rules.
yeah.
So I was living in Finland for a few years back then,
Okay.
working for Nokia in Helsinki, in Espoo, and then I got a transfer to Singapore and then back to Australia.
Yeah.
But then the big downfall came from Nokia.
Yeah.
And
2008, 2009, like
Nine,
the
yeah.
recession.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting a job as a technical PLC network engineer with a big brewery called Carlton United.
Okay.
And I was working there, working with the brewers, learning how the systems operated, how to program things, make everything easier, more efficient. So I was doing that, and then doing a little bit later on in 2014, I was working for a good friend of mine. He had a solar company. So I was doing
Solar.
Yeah,
Solar panels.
grabbing the sun,
Panels.
the sun
Okay.
power.
Yeah.
But he was doing megawatt farms, so in
Okay.
Samoa, everything, we were doing all that. But I left that, and we decided we had two little children. Decided to move back to Finland so they could learn Finnish properly.
You have kids?
Yeah, I have two
God
kids.
forbid.
Two-
God damn it.
Two beautiful
Did I know
girls,
that?
Martha
Okay.
and Stella.
How old?
14 and 12 now.
No,
They
it's okay.
speak perfect Finnish and English and
Yeah,
you
that's
name
cool.
it, so it's really good. And
Yeah.
that was my ultimate aim, was that they could, speak Finnish properly.
Yeah.
And then they have the opportunities.
So, let's just fast forward past the other stuff and like how did Mad Fin get created? What was behind that?
It was really weird because I became
guys worked at
I became a
Pyynikin?
brewery consultant.
Okay.
So
When I left
Yeah,
my
yeah,
old
of
job,
course.
he got my job. And
Okay.
I moved to Norway.
Okay. I did not know that. No, this is all new to me.
Yeah.
But we are friends before because he
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to
of
own
course.
bars here. So
Yeah.
we met since I moved here. We met like day one.
Yeah.
Not like you.
Yeah.
So I have a bit
So-
of history in the bars and
Yeah.
nightclubs, brewing, whatever. And the whole thing about Mad Fin came about was that we were a brewery. I was a brewery consultant,
Okay.
still am, and we got offered by our suppliers that, hey, why don't you have a showroom in Finland for European customers, because our brand is not in Europe. So we kind of got a pretty good discount to start everything. Why don't you start a brewery? Okay, so we have the experience, let's do it. So me and my business partner, Scott, he's from Australia as well. He's been living in Finland 30 years, has a deep understanding of the restaurant industry. So that's his part that helps us grow, internally with our own suppliers. But the Mad Fin came about. It was based on the idea of the people and the culture. Working with a Finnish previous brewery, we were, I can say it. I was in, I was in Portugal, and
No,
these guys were saying, which brewery are you from? And I said it, and they said, oh yeah, pea in a can. Pea in a can?
Pee in the can. Wow.
Yeah, so I noticed the opportunity straight away that that the Finnish breweries don't know how to market outside
Yeah.
the country. And I also got told, like, we don't need the market in Finland. It just happens.
Yeah.
But,
I have a question here about this topic. We were talking about it earlier because we had a podcast, like a couple episodes before. We talked with someone that was talking about cocktails, how it's just like a very young kind of area where people are just starting to appreciate cocktails and stuff. How do you feel the Finnish scene, like this, for example, a bit nicer beer, like craft beer? How's the scene in Finland? Is people starting to appreciate it? Is it something that started like, is it young? Is it a bit behind or a bit ahead compared to other parts of the world?
Yeah, I think
Especially Mario, like feel free to jump in because
Mario knows,
yeah.
he knows better than anyone. But I mean,
Yeah,
2014 was when Finland started the craft beer revolution.
And
From Australia was already started in 2005.
Yeah,
Quite
I've
long
always
ago.
said, like, I moved here in 2014, like you said. In 2014, I moved here. I came from San Diego, which is
The Mecca.
per capita of craft brewery is the most in the world. So I came here and I tried like mostly from like the bigger brands, Hartwell, whatever. They say, oh, this is IPA and it's fucking crap.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a bar, Eco at that time, and I saw
I know Eco.
I remember I saw Stone. I saw a Stone IPA. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
They're from San Diego, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, Stone.
That's cool.
Okay, let me get a Stone. Of course, back then it was like 12 euros for a pint,
yeah.
So I couldn't afford to drink it all the time. But I was just like, from then until now, and how much what Madfin is doing, Pyynikin, the Mosaic, iconic fucking brand,
Yeah.
the Mosaic, like we were talking about last night with
Magnus.
Magnuson, yes. They also have a copy of Mosaic.
I don't know.
Super mosaic.
super Mosaic, yeah.
40 days it
Yeah,
takes,
yeah.
not 7 days.
But I mean, just in 11 years, the craft brew has expanded like so much.
Massively.
But but question for how it compares to Finland. I mean, you travel around the world. Is the curve going up? Like, are Finnish people starting to get more appreciative of craft beer? Because it is more expensive than you go to Garo, you get
Yeah. I think talking about that, but if I'm taking too long, just
No,
stop me,
go ahead.
but the issue that I see is the age gap. Yeah, right. 'Cause
Okay.
youngsters, they're not drinking anymore like
No.
high
Yeah.
alcohol. They're drinking hard seltzer. They're drinking coffee. They have coffee rates or some shit like that. The
Yeah.
other day, a kid was telling me. What the fuck? Anyway, I think for people who's like 35 maybe and up,
Yeah.
it's still
coming
still-
back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
still like it's
Yeah,
a thing, you know.
Quality. They want quality.
Yeah, they want quality. They want to drink well,
And price.
exactly quality, price, and they are looking for new flavors, right, or,
Yeah,
or new experiences, as I wanted to call.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that I think that is happening in the beer that we need to find a way to communicate to youngsters. That I don't think craft beer has done that.
Do you think is it part of education?
I think it's part of the cultural movement that is going on, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it because we're gonna get banned from
No, it's
YouTube
okay.
or whatever.
No,
But
no.
It's also a bit of the because, for example, when I remember when I was young, you're a student, you're broke, right? You try to get the cheapest
Exactly.
you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanna go out and have fun with your friends.
Yeah.
I see people that are really fucking miserable now at the moment. You know, when I was young, it was fucking fun going out and fucking discover your body and. Is this important, all right? Or what? No, but do you know what I mean? It was like that.
yeah.
I think now people are mostly aware of what people think or what's behind the fucking phone. Do you know what I mean? Like going to a concert.
Yeah.
You remember going to a fucking concert? Nobody was with their phones or filming. I was in a
Now,
concert.
Enjoying
everywhere-
yourself.
No,
everybody had
dude,
that.
I was in
Enjoying
a,
yourself.
Enjoy the moment.
Exactly. I was in a concert in London not long
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
and there was this chick, dude. Well, this lady, sorry. With the phone, she was filming herself
The whole
in
time.
the concert.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
her reaction to the fucking concert. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that explains a lot. It seems happening with beer, right? There's like a lot of beer influencers they call. Like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Why would I
it's
follow
also-
you? You know?
Yeah, exactly. But it's also a bit of the. I think when you have no pressure, right? You didn't know better. You didn't know anything else. You know your close circle, and then you do what you enjoy.
Exactly.
You didn't feel like all these people are doing better. I have to try and
Yeah, exactly.
do something better than what I'm doing. Right? You just enjoy it.
Absolutely.
But one thing go back to beer because I wanted I want to dig deeper in this because
Yeah.
my first introduction from America in San Diego around the early 2000s, and my roommate was like, "Tam, you have to try the Blue Moon."
Yeah.
So Blue Moon was like my entryway into IPAs and everything else.
Yeah.
So Blue Moon was easy drinking.
I agree.
Easy.
Yeah, very, very easy drinking. But for me, like when I go out, and I'm perfectly honest with you, and when I go out, I can't. I mean, you guys are experienced professionals. It's like wine, right? Like IPAs and stuff is such high alcohol content.
Yeah.
Where I can't have like 4 or 5 in a row. Where I'll take a Garu or Bud Light
have
or
tonight.
Coors Light. Tonight during the story. Yeah.
But it's true.
But I agree with you because
Yeah.
for me, I used to when I came to Europe. Because in Mexico, you were used to more like very light beer and
Yeah, but there's a lot of like
Presidente,
craft beer.
good Mexican
there
beer.
is a lot of
Yeah,
craft
yeah.
beer, but,
Yeah.
but at least I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was used to a Dos Equis, like
Yeah,
very
yeah.
very mild.
Corona,
And then when I
Sol.
came to Europe, I went crazy. I was like, I really like the stouts and this very
Yes.
heavy beer. And I've noticed what Tam says that nowadays I tone down a bit. I might have a really strong beer like stout, something very with a lot of body, very strong, and then I tone it down. I cannot do many of those.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah,
Like, you just
yeah.
go
Neither
back.
do I, man.
Yeah. And of course, like you guys are in business. You guys remember in like the mid 2000s when people were trying to make the hoppiest beer possible,
Yeah.
like
Coburn.
Hopsekuchener. You know, Hopsekuchener? It's like, why do I want to drink a beer that's so hoppy? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Like fucking suffering, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say right now, like
Yeah.
the hops are probably our most expensive component
Okay.
of the beer.
I want to talk about that because I want you to educate me and our listeners.
Yeah.
Because you were geeking out with me earlier, like, oh, New Zealand hops, Australian, African hops, like, what's the fucking difference?
Yeah.
As a cook, I mean, of course, I know the difference in ingredients, but
Yeah.
what is the different characteristics of hops from different regions?
Especially if someone is listening who is not used to any of these, like they don't know anything about this. Maybe it's someone that has a beer or two when they go out, have a karahu or this very basic beer, right?
Yeah.
If they want to, because they might see these beers and they're like, okay, it costs a bit more. I'll have the cheapest beer I can
why?
find.
Yeah, but why? What is the
How can they decide? Okay, I might want to start trying this kind of thing. Like, what's the way to go?
I think is I mean, I can tell you my story about how I started with craft beer. It was a long time ago, but
Go for it.
yeah, like I was 16 years old and I discovered I was cleaning my father's beers and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got interested about brewing and like, oh fuck, and then I start brewing, like, And then I was like, oh, I'm discovering this Ballast Point. No, it was Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
Coronado Brewing Company,
Yeah,
Carlos
yeah.
Frost, all that stuff,
Yes,
and
yes,
I was
yes,
like,
yes.
fuck, this is amazing. I like Tecate,
That
but
was all the good stuff.
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
like,
Yeah.
So that for me that was normal. When I moved out to Canada and moved to Canada, I was like, what the fuck? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was 2005 when I moved. So from having a lot of craft beer options, I didn't have any or two. They were not very good.
Yeah.
But I think it depends of where you grow also and who you hanging out with, like discovering music, discovering beer, discovering I don't know whatever you want. But I think it's that moment, right, when you get hooked with something and you're like, oh wow, I like this, and this is kind of I can actually live out of it, or I can make my living out of beer or out of whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's for me that's the path how I got into craft beer. And I think that's a lot. Maybe you have a bar that you like, you go for the music and they have craft beer, and sometimes I want to try this, and oh fuck, this is good actually. You know what I mean? But I think it's really like that, and I don't think that is happening that anymore. Or you have to go to Instagram and check what's trend, right? What hyped? What?
Oh, Untapped.
Or yeah.
Untapped.
Well, Untapped, you're more
It's
specific.
really
This guy's a big
annoying.
Untapped.
I
He's
was
big
tapped a
Untapped.
lot, but like, I think you have to be already into that mentality of I want to.
Yeah, you don't know as an entry level, but if you're on Instagram and you're seeing that your favorite singer or whoever the fuck is drinking like a craft beer, you're like, okay, I want to try that. And it's a way to get like, okay, I want to try that, and you like it,
But I think people have a misconception about like craft beer. But to me, craft beer is like wine, and you guys are obviously professionals. You guys drink it a lot, so you guys know that the nuances are different. And it wasn't until I went to the Art Beer Fest in Porto, which shout out,
Big shout out, Octavio.
we'll be there again. But it wasn't until like to me, like if you give me wine, and a day later you give me wine and tell me to compare it, I'm like, okay. But if you give it to me back to back, I know that the differences,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
nuances, like the
Exactly.
flavors.
Yeah.
So craft beer is like wine in that
Yeah.
sense, you know.
It's a world that it's niche, very niche. But
Yeah, yeah.
It is something that it's just like there's so many options, right?
Yeah.
Like you just
So
have
many
to-
options.
infinite
You,
options.
you just have to go try around and see what you like.
And also, I think the people, the people who's behind the brewery, most of it, most of the people are really nice, and they really like to share. It's a shared thing. Like we brew a collab, then he's coming to Norway, we brew another collab. It's like we're like the enemy is Heineken or the big players, right? It's more like a community. That's what I love about craft beer. It's like it's still to this day it's a community, and that's why I love belonging to that community. It's my people at the end of the day. With everything that happened and all the shit that there's shit, but there is also good stuff. And most of it, luckily, 98% of the people that are working in craft beer are fucking good people.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the best thing about craft beer is the people. And when you have good people, they make good beer usually, because you
We
don't
talked
hate life.
100%. We talked about
Gay.
No, we talked.
Means happy time.
We talked last episode about the importance of community for humans.
Absolutely.
It's everyone looks for a community, and if you can find this around something you love, then
Yeah,
there's nothing better
absolutely,
than
and that's craft beer, man. For me, bar owners, brewers, you name it, and it's like going to beer festivals. I mean, I can go deep in that, but I won't. But it's that sense that you're having a good beer, you're having a good chat with a good person usually. And the brewer usually he comes and he jumps in and he's like, yeah, oh, you should go and try this brewery. That is not his brewery. He's not trying to promote himself,
Yeah.
He's like, oh, try Matt Finn.
So
Go and try that. They have the best lager in the festival, or they have the best sour.
Yeah.
Like, you go and you try it, right?
So Mario, I have a question. So, because you tasted so many beers, so how do you be diplomatic when it's a beer you don't like?
I just don't talk. Don't speak, man.
Noni? Yeah, Kiros Palion. Yeah,
Boy,
yeah. No, I mean, that's an honest question, because
Noni.
you have so many connections,
Yeah,
and
and not all the
you
beers are
don't
good.
want, I mean, I'm sure in the business, it's such a tight-knit community where, you don't want to burn bridges or
Yeah,
say
exactly.
bad things, but you have to be honest. I mean, me as a chef, people ask me, what do you think about that? I'm like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
To me, yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Being an Australian, you're pretty honest.
Okay.
And I will say...
I don't think about
You're a
being
cunt.
honest.
You're a cunt.
Yeah,
you're a
I
cunt.
will say
Okay.
what it is. But I always think of the intelligent side of things as well, that the other party would just think about
A
it.
feedback, right?
Just feedback.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
take proactive action.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm coming from the consulting side, where I'm helping breweries build efficiencies. I'm helping them improve the quality. And there's many aspects in a brewery.
Yeah.
We were sampling beers today and doing other things. And you can pick up little things.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's the consumer that is our main customer.
Yeah.
It's not the brewmaster what he cares. And this is the problem. There's too much stigma in the industry. That
And I think there's too much corporate bullshit beer.
well, there is.
For
That's
example, like I'll admit it. We
mainstream beer.
We went to Aloha Ramen today.
Yeah.
And we had a beer that was there, and
That's
it was like
awful.
ginger,
Green tea, whatever.
and I was like,
Where
come
was
on.
that from?
It's fucking bullshit.
Netherlands,
I don't want to say it. But it's fucking bullshit beer. And we were honest.
Yeah.
I even went to the store. I was like, this is fucking
Yeah, you have to try
Yeah.
the Tokyo one.
But
told
that
you.
should
yeah,
be
yeah, Tokyo.
do those
Yeah.
beers.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a beer. It should be a kombucha.
Yeah. But
Like-
but my point is that my
A
point is that
beer
you know
can
what?
only do so many things.
My point is I googled the brewery and there was like a conglomerate group. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh come on,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, everything that's been invented has been done. There is no new styles. Now it's just about building quality, and within that quality, building the different taste. And every brewery has different tastes because they use different ingredients. They have a different head brewer.
I had a conversation last night with the guy from Ape Brewery.
Yeah, Magnus.
Yeah, Magnuson, great guy, and we're discussing about
Swedish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. How much?
Svenska.
How
No, it's
much?
Finnish Swedish.
Which sounds like how much of a label dictates the buyer? Because to me,
Big
the
time.
one problem with craft beer, I'll be honest with you guys, and I told him also because I'm an honest person. The problem with craft beer is that all your labels look the same.
Yeah.
You
No.
try, no. Listen to me. You try to be too like a little bit too like
Cool.
out of the box.
Yeah.
But to me, like the mosaic was the most brilliant marketing because you see a mosaic,
Yeah.
you know what it is.
Yeah.
When people buy stuff, they look at the label.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Also, well,
Yeah.
you know better about this. Like I'm coming into this as someone I enjoy beer. I will go to the store. I think that's what most people do. To be honest,
It's visual.
I go to the
Yeah.
store. I see the cans.
Yeah.
It's like something catches my eye. I'll check it. Oh, what is this? For example, I came here and you had this. What was this like? Sour bubble gum banana something. I was like, that sounds very weird. I'm gonna try that one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's something that catches my eye. It's something
Yeah.
very uncommon. I was
Yeah.
like, I'll try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's how I go into this thing, right? But for example, when I go to a store here in Finland, and I don't know if you know much about this or how do you feel about this, usually a craft beer will be maybe like 3, 4, 5 euros, and then you can go up to like 15. I've seen.
Yeah.
But then I go in like as a consumer, I go into it. I see a fridge in the supermarket. It's like 13, 14, 15 euros. I'm like, yeah, this catches my eye for sure. But
Yeah.
is it worth, as someone who knows about these things, is 15 euros for a beer like something that you are like, yeah, it's worth, or it's up to a taste, right? Can you go to get something more
depends.
decent and be like, okay, this is good enough because this is what I like, kind of thing. How do you feel about this? Because I think that's something that might keep some people away from this, right? You go into this, you skim through it, see high prices, I'll take a cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will take
Ultimately, the price.
It's great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
but it's just like more
Wait, it's
commercial.
true.
beer,
No,
right?
Yeah. Ultimately, the price wins.
Yeah.
You know,
At the end, yes.
it's a risk that you take that beer and you have to pour it down the sink. You know, and I do say 7 times out of 10 that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's like, fuck, why did I do that?
So you have to understand from the consumer. I mean, I know, Matt, I had your fucking beer. It's fucking fantastic. Yeah. But for the average person that's going to alcohol and they see that and they see all these other ones that has like,
It's not easy.
cool labels and everything like that.
How do you compete?
And
with
then
that?
they'll be mad as fuck if they buy like 10 euros for a beer and then they're like disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It happens.
yeah, so that's like a obstacle that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It's just the risk you take, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm willing to invest 20 euros in a one can, but then you try it and you're like, wow, this is fucking garbage, right? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, but and there's a big misconception that well, let's start from the basics. America is the craft revolution.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts.
Yeah.
And now that it heads it, we're in Europe. Netherlands has some really good quality breweries.
Yeah.
UK is kind of a leader. Norway has some pretty good. Sweden, Finland's, is really starting to get really good. Like you see breweries like Olari and Tuyu and Salama. They're all increasing production, so they're obviously selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for us, we don't try to follow anyone. I come from a background of pale ales.
Yeah.
Australia's very, very big pale ale lager country. It's like, you go to a bar and it's got 7 lagers on tap.
Yeah.
Just different brands, but they all taste different.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys don't understand. They're trying to do this in the NEPA range. But how many 7% NEPAs can you drink?
Yeah. So
exactly.
let's go back to the basics here. Because one thing that I want to educate our viewers and listeners that to me it's like wine. Sometimes like you get intimidated. The sommelier or waiter comes up. Oh, what wine do you want? And you're like, So I feel like it's the same way about beer. So when we're talking about like craft beer, what's the difference between IPA, New England, West Coast, and so forth? So let's start with IPAs. What is IPA? Where did the name come from? And what makes an IPA an IPA?
mate.
What's the history?
We
When
don't
was
know.
it first
We don't
brewed?
know.
Briefly.
I will go
Briefly.
there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back 'Cause this is talked about. Like,
just briefly.
It was basically from England to
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
That the tradition started. That
Yeah,
the
yeah.
IPAs lasted longer.
For the record,
than
I know, but I want our listeners to
No,
know.
I know,
Yeah,
we know.
in
I
case
know
they
you
get
know.
intimidated.
But
yeah.
I mean, you know, and these days, yes, it's the IPAs have kind of died. Like, no one's doing classic IPAs anymore.
You have to go to California. You have to go to
Yeah,
certain
it's like-
places.
And how many people get to go to America and do that? Not many people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a fucking big country.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's like I'm looking to reinvent that scene within our own brewery. That we have a classic IPA range, you know, and you can have a Midwest IPA. What is that? It's not an East Coast. It's not a West Coast. It's a Mid Coast. You know, there's a lot of different things that can be reinvented in that area.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you've got to use the hops from those areas. You know, you've got to try and, you know, reinvent the wheel a little bit. It's probably already been done in the US, but in Europe, we don't have any idea about
No,
those
we're
things.
following a trend. From
Yeah,
this
following
company,
a trend. So it's like
yeah.
there is no one here actually out bouncing out of the trend.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of like Europe hasn't done anything in new styles of beer. They're just following
Yeah.
everyone else.
But is it the case of, I mean, that's just the way it is? Like wine, like you can't reinvent wine per se. Unless you're
Yeah,
like, unless you're like,
exactly.
unless you're
Wine is wine. Like, there's so
unless you're
many
like
styles.
blending, you know,
That's it.
varietals
Blending.
and stuff.
But I mean, like I said before, everything that's been created has already been created. Now it's about producing quality and textures that, you know, you can change certain things.
Well, what is the
There's
difference?
different techniques you can do.
What is the
dry
difference
hopping
between
and stuff like that?
IPA and New England IPA?
Well,
I love New England, but it's
big
fruity
difference.
to me. So
Big
what
difference.
makes it different?
I mean,
what makes it fruity?
an IPA doesn't have oats.
Okay,
Let's start with that.
okay.
You know,
I didn't know that.
What
Okay.
oats does is makes that beer
creamy,
creamy and
Okay.
yellow looking.
Ah,
hazy.
That's
Yellow-
where you get
yellow
the hazy.
power. Yellow power.
Now a hazy IPA, a hazy IPA is an American
Yeah.
terminology,
Okay.
and New England IPA is what everyone else has
He's
adapted.
calling it. Yeah.
You know, so they're both basically the same type of beers,
So New England and hazy are the same type of beers.
same beers.
Okay.
Then you get
Boom.
into the
Is
Is
double.
it just a
No.
marketing
Yeah, yeah.
kind of thing? Like how
Okay.
you choose?
It is, and,
Yeah.
and now you're seeing cans with they're saying actually New England IPA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, you know, because they're kind of, maybe some breweries are thinking from a marketing perspective
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people
Or
just don't
cold
understand
IPA.
Don't
what
know
a
what
ne-
the
fuck
what
is
what
that?
does a NEPA mean? The fuck does a NEPA mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand only 5% of the community worldwide drink craft beer, and you telling them what does any IPA mean?
What,
Or a
what's-
double. I've had someone say, what is the D
Only-
there in the
Yeah.
before that?
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
double. Oh, okay. That sounds stupid, but it's
So Mario, you know, like one of my favorite beers in America is Doghead Fish.
Yeah, doghead.
Yeah. The,
120.
Fish head dog.
120. Yes.
Dogfish.
Yeah. I was looking confused. Yeah, but they're 120 IPA.
But legends.
So what is the difference between 60 and 120? What does that mean?
Well, it's a style and how they do it and the alcohol that they have.
Okay. Is it like double distilled? Like,
No.
I know. No. What's the difference? 60 and
No,
120?
the alcohol. The ABV.
Alcohol level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Like I don't know much.
And of
about
course some
this.
processes, but
Yeah.
I don't know much about this, but now listening to you, this seems to me like something that's just like art. You just mix and hope for the best, and you do what you like and hope that people like it.
yes, but you have some standards, right? You have
No, for sure.
some guidelines.
For sure, and you probably have quality
Yeah.
measurements and these kind of thing. But
And the water profile and the
Yeah,
quality.
yeah.
yeah, you're telling earlier about how the water, which
You
minerals
can change
they
the
have,
water
they can
profile.
change the flavor, right?
Yeah.
You can.
And you play with
Yeah.
that.
Just got to have a good base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question here is, because you've been talking about there's some trends and people follow some trends. So in your experience, like with what you do, how much do you follow these trends and how much do you kind of try to get out to break the trend and maybe make your own trend? How much of this impacts your work and how do you look at this? Is this an approach you take? of watching trends and okay, I'm gonna do something that people are liking.
Yeah,
but
you switch
I'm
some
gonna do it
hops
my own.
sometimes, or you play a little bit with the hop combo or the grain, the grain of the build notes. So
Mario's right. Like, it's quite funny. At the end of the day, if you make a New England IPA and you have maybe 3 or 4, that you're selling,
Yeah.
the base is always the same.
Yep.
The only thing changes is the hop combination.
Okay.
Right.
There's nothing else. I mean, the hop combination could be the difference between. You could be.
bitter.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of hop,
Yeah.
alpha hops, in the bittering for the whirlpool when you're brewing. But for the dry hopping side, you don't want alpha hops. It's too bitter. You want more soft hops. But then it depends when you dry hop. You could be dry hopping a little bit warmer, 15 to 14 degrees. There's now liquid hops, which are highly...
This is so new to me. Liquid hops.
And
Okay.
And for a brewery, that's brilliant because
Yeah.
we're getting better output. We're getting more liters into the cans and the kegs because we don't have the trub. The trub is basically all the shit. You're pulling pellets in a tank.
Yeah.
And that
This you're just putting
and
the
it
liquid.
just foams up into the tank and then dilutes through the beer. So, there was all these things about using hop cannons and hop guns and all types of things like that.
Yeah.
These devices, you can buy a Casper Schultz system, a hop system. It's like 60,000 euros.
Yeah.
What we do is we basically dry hop from the top, introduce no oxygen. We have a hop doser. We CO2 charge it.
So
once,
you guys are actually mad scientists.
Yeah, the hunger.
Yeah, I mean,
You guys are mad scientists.
That's
I thought you
Mad Finn.
Max, and he's falling asleep. He's the chef over there. I mean, I spend so much time researching.
Yeah.
It's very
Mad
research.
scientist. Yeah.
It's mad science.
And I mean, that's the beauty of it because I want people to realize that this is it's science.
Yeah, I mean,
And there is a lot of love
You're
that goes
paying-
to craft brewing.
you can pay 30 to 40 euros per kilo of
Yeah.
hops.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, these hops were like 5 to 6, 7 euros a kilo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the big companies like Yakima Chief and
Yeah.
Bathhouse,
Crosby.
they're taking advantage of the breweries.
Okay.
This is bullshit, but they have a very...
Are we getting... Dude, they're my friends.
No, but they were.
I know.
But I will.
Not anymore.
I mean, we're the brewery, so
Owen,
they still have to sell. They got no one else to sell to, so they have to sell to us. But at the end of the day, they do have an intrinsic situation with themselves.
Yeah.
They have high labor costs, high energy costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're very predictant on the climate.
Yeah.
If they have a bad season, like Germany's had a couple of bad seasons.
yeah, it's horrible.
You get a Magnum, Tefnet, all those hops have been pretty
I love
dry.
it because this is something that you don't hear about regularly.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of brewers, I don't even know if they go into this depth. Like me and my head brewer, Matty, like we talk about this daily.
Yeah.
How do we combat this? And I think that's the difference in our brewery is that we really, for us, it's we don't want to produce shit beer.
Yeah.
And if we do, we feed the fish.
Yeah.
What that means is that we're going to dump that down the drain.
Yeah.
I don't care if it costs 3,000 or 4,000 euros.
Yeah.
But we have to give the consumer the best beer they want.
At the end, I think with craft beer, that's something that I think it might be a problem with some brewers, right? The consistency. That if
Yeah, but also depends on depends on the quality of the product you're using.
but
How
I
are the
get-
hops?
okay.
How fresh they are?
Yeah,
I see
How do you
big
handle-
breweries,
Yes.
15 million litres, they can't make a lager
No.
that change their life.
No.
Every single batch is fucking different.
Yeah, but-
And I'm like,
Exactly.
what the hell? And these guys have mad scientists. They have 3 or 4 of these guys and
Yeah.
get paid 4,000 euros a month sitting there
Yeah.
analysing the beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they still can't make it consistent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think if I go back to, you originally said
Yeah.
at the start, Tam, like, how did Madfin start? What's the
Okay.
whole idea?
Yeah.
It was about the people and the culture of Finland.
Okay.
And what I really like about Finnish people, they're very
mad.
They're mad, but they will criticize you.
Yeah,
Not in front of you.
yeah,
In Australia, you will get criticised in front,
Right away.
yeah, yeah,
and you just take it like
Yes.
a man. But in Finland, they do it behind your back.
yeah,
They will do it behind your back, but that's constructive feedback too.
yeah.
What do you
Yes,
mean?
You know, like every culture is different.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in Mexico or Spain or Vietnam or China. You know, that it's very online
In
presence.
Vietnam, to tell your mom, and your mom will tell you.
Yeah, yeah. but for us, it's
What,
like
what I've noticed is that Finnish people, if they don't like something, they don't always say it, but they'll just not come back, right?
they will not come back, or if they're really pissed off, they'll put it online.
Yeah.
And I love that because, you know, that's
I have a lot of crazy stories.
if
about
they
that.
have, you've really you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, for me, it's like we have like 20 staff. We can go back to them and say, like, we're not going to grill anyone, but like, guys, did you do this? Did you do that? Like, maybe, and that's a shortcoming in our management style. Maybe that we haven't done something right. It's not the person at the bar's fault.
Yeah.
No.
You know, have I done something wrong? Maybe we have. We haven't. You know, so that we got to learn from that. And we got to keep learning, and that's what the craft industry is about. It's about learning all the time, and it's very experimental.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like that mentality of like accountability, right? Where
You
if
have to
something's
accept
wrong,
what you've done wrong.
Yeah, because otherwise you won't evolve. And when you have that mentality, it just keeps moving you forward, right? You just listen to what's the criticism, what has worked, what hasn't, and
I
then
mean,
you keep moving to
You
improve.
won't get that in Italy. If you go to Italy, they will not accept anything that's gone. Nope, it's always the customer's fault. I'm not saying Italy, but you know,
Yeah.
there's certain.
There's some
You said
cultures
it.
where it's hard, right?
You just said it.
It's on record, so
It
it's
is,
on.
but
Yeah.
it's like it's.
No, it's cool.
There is some
Yeah.
cultures that are more accepting.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you go to China. Like I was just in China 2 weeks ago, and it's like
China.
the most amazing. Like the rest of the world is 20 years behind.
Yes,
Yeah,
mate.
fucking-
I'm serious.
mate.
We went to this bar. It had 100 taps.
Yeah. In Shanghai. Yeah, I know. I did a tap takeover there back in 2019.
I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
They have
was-
a fucking like
crazy.
1,000 sitting.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
They had 3 levels.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Well, what beer do I try?" And all he said was, "Don't worry, you don't have to pay anything."
Yeah. I had a tap takeover there.
I think I got home at like 2 days later.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like Australians can drink, but that was pretty full
No,
on.
he can drink.
Yeah,
dude.
he's
can
Yeah, he can
fucking
drink, dude.
Crazy guy.
He can fucking drink. He will drink you up like.
I mean, I was sitting there with the owners of that place, and you know, they were like, "Yeah, this guy's from Finland, like you know, from Mad Finn." And oh, you have a brewery? I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, we got 100 taps in." I was like, "Where?" And it was just like
Yeah.
3
So-
levels.
So, like your years here and your years here, like how has the craft beer scene changed in that amount of years? Because for me, I'll tell you my story. 11 years ago, it was fucking shit. It was fucking shit. Now it's so much better. But for brewers and owners, like, what is your experience here?
I don't think it was shit back then.
It was fucking shit, bro.
We didn't. I mean,
Nah, bro, it was fucking shit.
No, but you come from an American.
You come
Yeah,
from,
okay,
you
say
come
that.
from the,
Yeah,
you're from
yeah,
the-
yeah,
You come from
Best.
the epic,
Like
the epic-
epicenter.
the epicenter of everything.
Okay, fair.
I mean,
fair.
what I look at now, and I'm
Okay.
gonna. This is a little bit funny. Like, I look at a lot of those breweries that used to be here were actually pretty fucking good. Like,
Okay.
there was a brewery called Hopping Brewsters.
Yes.
I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, those
Okay.
IPAs, classic,
They were good.
fucking really good. And he was doing this in tanks that were like not really pressurized.
No.
They were non-pressurized tanks, maybe 1 bar.
Okay.
And
What is the difference?
it's massive. I mean,
Okay.
you
I
can't,
mean, I said-
you
You
can't
cannot
make
control.
So
You can't control the
pretend our
beer.
viewers know nothing because
You
just-
can't
they
control.
don't know.
I'll just
I
be
know
simple.
nothing
You just
about it.
can't
Okay, what is
fucking
the
make
difference?
proper
Okay.
beer in a
Okay.
non-pressurized tank.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So pressurized extracts more.
Yeah, you
flavors.
have more control.
It's that you
of it.
control the.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The environment
I mean-
where the beer is being made.
Makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah.
You know, always a perfect beer is a fermented carbonated beer within itself that is not force pressurized, because beer is precious. And it's like funny when you go to can that beer, you're pushing all that product into a can.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why they always say the beer at the tank tastes better
Then the can.
than the can
Okay.
Yeah.
or the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, tank beer is always the best, and you can taste. It goes like this: tank, keg, can. The keg is the second best.
Because just kind of lose.
Yeah. But the other thing we find is there's a lot of environmental issues. We can't sell to certain bars because we know they don't clean their taps. Their lines
There's a
are
lot of
too long.
factors that are
There's so many factors in craft
Yeah.
beer.
the way that the transport.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, who gets the shit put on? That brewery.
Yeah.
You know, I
It's
tasted a
your name.
brewery. Their beer at the tap on the tank on the sample valve, it's pristine, absolutely pristine.
Yeah.
But as soon as it gets keg or canned, it changes, or it could be good. I mean, that's a big. We can go into that a little bit later. Like I invested heavily.
I don't want to look.
He's falling asleep. The Mexicans.
I know it.
But then
Mira,
the
big
biggest
sombrero.
environmental factor for craft beer, and this is the problem with craft beer, it's so susceptible to different changes, heat, proactive bioteins in the lines.
Yeah.
There's so many variables
So is there a difference
that
between
it tastes when you get it to the.
is there a
tangy.
difference between glass and bottle?
No,
So no.
no,
What do you mean?
Glass
Between
or bottle or can?
glass and bottle. Like
Can.
no.
Can.
Can's always
yeah,
better.
can.
Can is better.
Yeah,
Can is
Can
better.
is better.
Can better. Yeah.
Can is
Really?
always better.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
when
why?
it gets to that
How
tap,
come? Because
Yeah. I want to know.
Because I think
Yeah.
in Mexico a lot of people would go for the bottle.
Bottle, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
no, it's
better.
perception.
It's
Yeah,
perception.
I
Okay.
But
Yeah,
why-
it's
why-
like-
I've
Explain.
always dropped
Explain.
a bottle at a bar.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I prefer cans, and it's better. It's better. Well, it's
To
preserved.
preserve the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like,
I mean, I sell canning lines as a you know as our sideline,
Side hustle.
A sideshow.
Side hustle.
and we sell American canning lines.
Okay.
You know, it's not Chinese. It's not from wherever. It's an American canning line, and they've sold over 3,000 canning lines
Yeah.
in America
Yeah.
to craft breweries, and it's fucking really good quality.
Yeah.
I mean, the can. There's so many factors. You know, when it comes, the cans come from the manufacturer. The cans are clean already.
Yeah.
But what we do is we do this ionizing
Yeah.
effect. We shoot up. We don't put water in the can. That's ridiculous because if you get a couple of drops of water, what does water contain? O2.
Yeah.
Then your beer can be oxidized just by a couple of drops really easily.
Yeah.
And then when we're canning, we're using this CO2 tunnel process. Actually, our canning line actually CO2s the beer as it's filling. No other canning line does that on the market. I know that. That other than the counter pressure systems, which you're going to pay €300,000-400,000 for.
Yeah.
A lot of craft breweries can't afford that. I mean, these guys are coming from home brewers. You know, I mean, do you agree, Mario, that majority of the market is people who have been coming
Yeah.
from the craft?
I come from that.
It's not a business.
No.
It's a hobby.
yeah. But that's
It's a
what,
passion.
that's what I was saying earlier about consistency, right? Because there's some craft beer that you might taste. This has happened to me before. You taste one can, and it's like delicious. It's beautiful. You're like, this is excellent. I'm gonna
You
get
try
it.
next time, it is different.
And you try it next time, and it's like, yeah, it's not as good as I remember. So I think that impacts the customer, right? That you're
Of
like,
course.
if consistency, if you don't get to that level,
If you
of
try the same
consistency-
beer 3 times and it tastes different the 3 times,
exactly,
I won't tell you.
That
I
is a
won't-
problem.
I won't go for a 4.
Yeah.
exactly, yes.
You know, at the end of the day, I think that the craft brewer industry, I think the biggest issue is that people don't invest properly in the right equipment.
Yeah.
And this is the, you know, and this can reduce the variables quite greatly.
Yeah. Hold on. I would say as a counterpoint, and we'll wrap this up. I would say as a counterpoint, I think craft beer, I think people don't have a general education because, like wine, people are intimidated by it. Because sometimes, the craft beer, you guys are like, I mean, no offense to you guys, but you guys are, I hung around with brewers. But you guys speak on another fucking level. But how do you speak to that level to the normal people?
I think I do it, but I'm
I
very
know you
vulgar.
do.
I'm
Yeah.
not vulgar. I'm a really vulgar guy. Do you know what I mean?
You mean vulgar?
Yeah, Tam, I think you're
But
100% right.
But
I struggle
Yeah.
because I get
Yeah.
too technical.
I think people should be educated about it, though.
Because I think Tam's point is on point
Yeah.
from someone who doesn't know much about this industry.
agree.
I enjoy beer, and I will try.
Yeah.
If I see something that catches my eye, I'll try it. But
Yeah.
for example, when you go to the supermarket and you
Yeah.
see these cans,
Yeah.
they're really pretty cans. They're very nice designs.
Yeah.
You don't see all this. You
No,
don't
no,
think,
no.
You
of
don't think
course.
about this.
And you don't
right?
think
Yeah.
about who's
Yeah,
making
they
it or
were.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Or where the hops are coming from. or-
so at the end of the day, I'm gonna ask this for people who are listening and who are a bit more interested into this world. If I go to a supermarket, I see a lot of craft beer. Of course, I see the math thing there. What would you recommend to someone that's not used to drink craft beer?
Drink lager.
What would you recommend to
Lager.
try? First?
Mosaic.
I mean,
Well, you
I'll
could
be
like a
honest,
math
like-
thing,
our Super Mosaic is
It's fucking good.
it's really good.
Yeah,
it's like
it is.
It's fucking
it's
good.
it's a good entry to
It
the
is very
market.
good.
It's actually called an IPL, and what that means is another abbreviation, Indian
Indian
Pale
Pale
Lager.
Lager.
Okay.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
you want to know where brew? Wait, we brew.
Fuck you.
We brew.
I'm not even-
You guys are making up terms, right?
No, it's like it's all bullshit. But
Indian Pale Lager. Okay.
it is. It's
Go ahead,
like,
let me-
and it's like
It is a little hot, but no.
it's
come
quality.
on.
We use quality hops.
Wait, hold on. This the
Try it.
mosaic? Yeah.
I mean, what we've done is
Fuck you, mate. That's not a fucking
we've
Indian Pale
invented.
Lager.
Not we haven't invented. I mean, many breweries are doing
Yeah,
this
yeah.
now. Like we're not. the
Or
only
cold
ones.
IPA
Yeah, I know,
that they
fuck
call it,
whatever.
right?
Whatever, and that's good because, like we said before, we want all the breweries to collaborate. It's not. We're not competing against others. We are competing against the bigger guys.
Yeah, like I said, like Heineken.
And
or
they can
fucking
fuck off.
Olvi or whatever.
I'm really sick of them because they just produce shit,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
people just get used to it. And it's just chemicals in a can. That's the way I look at it. But when we did this, we produced. It's like a dry hop lager, matured German style. What it does, what it means also is that the lager gets the maximum
Yeah.
yeast time. Everything preserves.
Okay.
If it's on a vertical tank, it only does the bottom part, doesn't do the top part. On a horizontal tank, it gets a full penetration time.
That's what she said.
You know, and that's what you love, Tam.
Penetration.
Full penetration. I'm all about full penetration. So
I know.
I haven't said that word in a long time. But I mean, for our beers, it's like the whole thing is that we've really thought about how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, you love the Tokyo Super Dry,
I haven't tried it yet.
haven't you?
No.
Well, Mario's, he's had about 6
Beast of
today.
something.
No way, you had it yesterday.
He had 6 today.
I had
had
it yesterday?
8.
No.
You know,
Wait. Let's try it.
Bartender.
and you know
Yeah, let's try it.
that's a
Yeah, let's try it.
absolutely
try it.
fantastic.
Tokyo.
It's a rice lager.
Soon in fucking Aloha Ramen.
You had me at rice.
And I mean, that's a perfect Asian beer. It's so light. It's not malty.
Oh my god.
You know, so it's like, and this is where a lot of things.
No, he's sleeping.
No. Our camera guy is asleep.
Oh
But
my god. That's
A
fucking.
lot of
camera
restaurants,
We
you know,
had
there's
fun, but he's sleeping.
and Tam, you said before that people aren't educated. There's a lot of restaurants out there. They have these. They already have a deal with the big brewers.
Exactly.
So, and we try and go in and say, hey, like, try this beer. Oh, that's a really good beer.
But I cannot sell it.
I'm not
'cause
going
we
to get
have-
any money
yeah,
back.
Exactly.
I'm not getting €2 a litre back.
Yeah, kickback.
Exactly.
Like, fuck off.
yeah,
But your customers.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
At the end of the day,
It's better.
money
We had
talks.
today at a fucking lower ramen.
Money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
at the end, this is a thing that I see it because I like this kind of beer, and personally, I'd rather have one of these than 2 or 3. Like
Lapin
just-
Culta.
of the
Lapin
shop.
Culta, yeah.
Lapin Culta, especially. I mean, I don't want to burn bridges here.
hard work.
But if it's Lapin Culta
It's hard
green,
work
I will
drinking
not.
a
I will
Lapin
not drink
Culta.
it.
Yeah, of course not.
But
Next week it's gonna be La Pinculta here.
Unless you're on the VR train, because that's all they serve.
yeah. But
I had one.
But
I had
my
one.
whole point is like, I'd rather have I'd rather have one really good quality beer that I really enjoy. You know, you sip it and you enjoy
Yes.
the flavors.
You get what you pay
rather,
for.
Yeah.
rather than have
Yeah.
3 cheap beers. You know,
Yeah.
different
I think that
flavors.
goes back to the conversation you had before with Mario with
Yeah.
the age trends
Yeah.
that you brought in. That if people have a good beer at the start, they might only want one anyway.
True.
So this is where we have to focus on those markets.
Yeah.
Every craft brewery needs to
that's why-
lift their game.
If you get a normal person to come in here, they might be overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Like, so how do you de-escalate that? Make them more welcome to. Hey, let me educate you on what IPA is, what a New England is.
Well,
What's the West Coast? What is a sour? I hate sours. I had great sours when I was in
Oh,
Porto.
Yeah.
But you know, but yeah,
I think sours are something you either love or hate.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no in between.
There's no
Yeah.
in between,
Personally,
yeah.
I love them. I
Yeah.
tried the one, this banana bubble gum something.
Yeah.
It was crazy
Yeah.
good.
yeah. I didn't like it.
But if you
I'll
don't
be
like
honest with
sours,
you.
if you don't like sours, you won't like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I mean, we're not a
There's-
sour brewery. Like there's been a classic example of a sour brewery, Coolhead,
Yeah.
and they make bang in, bang out every day sours.
Yeah.
But they've actually branched out into other beers because
Yeah.
the market's so small.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know,
know,
a lot of people who
I'm
go
pretty
for
sure it's a niche market.
Yeah, it's very
for
niche.
sour.
It
Yeah.
is.
I'm someone who, if I see a sour, I will try it. But
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of my friends. who
No,
say
and you
sour.
cannot
Yeah.
drink 6 beers of that.
No, no,
No, usually this kind of
The
craft beer
gut's
is,
turning.
is my
The
first.
pH level's just killing you.
No, usually those sour stouts, these very strong flavored beers, are something I'll have 1 or 2,
Yeah.
and then you tone it down, right? Like it's you just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you'll rather have one and enjoy it rather than have a 6-pack that's cheap. That's in my
I
head,
will
that's
speak
how it
for
goes.
the average guy, the average chef, average worker out there. That you guys know who you are. That you know, I treat IPAs like I treat like a Longaro. I would have 1 or 2 Longaros, but I can't drink more than that. Like IPAs, I can have 1 or 2, but it
You're
gets
9, dude.
Tam, can
Having a
we
milkshake there. I don't know about that.
Tam, can we talk about this
Yes,
Loncaro
mate.
thing?
Yeah,
That
Longaro.
the average listener might understand.
Okay.
What is a Loncaro? It's a long drink. What
Oh,
is it?
sure. It's a long drink, right? It's a gin drink, right? And
Yeah.
Mixed.
For the
With fruit.
World Fair, right? Or
Oh,
something
for
like
the Olympics, was
that. Olympics or World Fair?
1952.
Yeah.
Helsinki
But-
Olympics.
But to me, it's too sweet. Yeah, but
What do you think about Loncaro?
I like it.
Yeah,
I can have-
It's like a paloma, but
I think-
with gin instead of
yeah.
tequila. Right?
I can have a few.
Paloma.
I like that shit.
Arriba. Adache.
Because this grapefruit is what we drink tequila with, so I really enjoy that.
but like long run IPAs, I can only have like
Do you have Loncaro here?
2 or 3 at a time.
Well,
Is it coming?
I'm telling you, Mad Finn has something massive coming.
Nice.
And
That's what she said. Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're going to shake the game up big time.
Nice.
We're going to go full fruit flavor, low sugar,
Good hangover.
5.5%.
Good
So-
hangover.
Because that's what
So-
Finnish want.
One thing I want to ask you guys as brewers.
I just wanted to mention this before because we're in the Loncaro thing.
Okay.
Because for example, there's this fruity flavor. It's something I enjoy a lot, and those I don't think that's exploited enough.
No, because they use artificial flavoring.
Yeah. Adjuncts,
Yeah.
like fucking
You know,
extracts.
I'm not going to say any names from other breweries.
Yeah.
But you can already see it.
can say it.
They've been launching hard and fast with their pineapple and all this. It's all bullshit. It's all tastes like shit.
Yeah.
It's all chemically orientated.
They made
Yeah.
the pache.
And it tastes like the pineapple jarritos
Yes,
to me.
yes,
So it's
yes.
good. So,
At
but
the
I
end-
get what you're saying.
At the end of the day, I don't want to produce a brewery or a manufacturer that if I can't drink the
Drink
drink,
it. Yeah, of course.
I don't want to sell that.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
way
that's
I
a
look
good
at it.
standard
You know,
for
and
that,
that's. I heard an interesting fact a couple of weeks ago about New Zealand hops. New Zealand's a very controlled country.
Yep.
There's not many pests or anything compared to America. So what's that mean? Not as many chemicals in the hops.
Okay.
So those are, I think it's like with a GMO.
Jimbo.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
those hops are probably, and this is why New Zealand hops are getting really big rap. they're so clean, and they're of course copied off the American. So it's like American Yakima Valley
Yeah,
is like,
Yakima.
you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know one company that we deal with. It's called Hop Revolution, and the head of the company, Suzanne. She's so like I am with the beer. She's the same with the hops, and you are with your food and how your operations work.
Yeah.
She's exactly the same, and it's like when you go to these bigger companies, they care, but they don't care. And when it comes to Europe, we don't get the pick of the brunch.
Yeah.
America gets
You get
pick.
the leftover.
We get the leftovers, and we had a
Yeah.
classic example of that with a couple of our beers that we had really bad cryo hops, and it just fucked up the whole batch. It was just so bitter.
Yeah.
No matter what they told us, we followed everything they did, and we're just a little brewery. They're a big conglomerate.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well,
who cares?
As far as like the profile of the flavor, what is the difference between New Zealand hops and Yakima? Because I remember the first time I heard Yakima was when I was in Porto.
Yeah.
In Caminha.
We went with Ruben.
It's
Yeah,
difficult.
I mean, it was
Tam,
sponsored. We
it's
went to
difficult
a
say, mate.
brewmaster dinner
Yeah.
that was sponsored by Yakima. Like, what is the difference?
You can't say there's a difference. Like,
Okay.
all the hops have different profiles.
Okay.
New Zealand hops are very fruity and very out there,
Tropical.
tropical, and what it comes down to is the fertilization on the soil.
Okay.
I'd even say Australia had really good the Galaxy crops coming back from 2018 to 2021
Yeah.
were just shit.
Yep.
And then after that, they changed because a little bit wetter climate, it changed. So
Okay.
there's a lot of environmental factors.
Yeah.
New Zealand's very predictable. The climate always is the same.
The same. Yeah.
Australia just has geographical problems. America's the same. It's a big country.
So for me, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what you have been telling me, because before I sat down here,
Yes.
I thought it was more of an art, that you just play around and kind
Well,
of like
it's an art when you're
Yeah,
making the recipe.
Yeah, but my
Now there's more variables.
My impression now that I have talked to you, it sounds to me now that you have told a bit more about it, it's more about the controlling the process, that rather than an art that you just like play
Correct.
around. It's like once the processes are right and you have the quality controls in order, then it's just way easier to play around with it because the quality will be good, and no matter what you do, it will most likely turn out a good product.
Correct. I mean,
Correct.
when you get smaller breweries and smaller craft hobbyists, they have small brew kits. And most of those small brew kits are pretty well built. They're pretty good quality. Not much can go wrong. So they're producing these sample things, and, here's what we got. It's like 150 litres, a couple of kegs, a couple of cans, whatever. Bang
then
on.
when you go back-
Bang on. But when you decide to go bigger, the whole variable changes. But what people do is they always skimp on the equipment. They go for a cheap Chinese supplier. The steel's not even 304. It's fake. And, I come from, my father was a stainless steel welder. He has a stainless steel company. I know steel. And I showed Mario today.
Yeah.
The steel, it's
The
fucking,
difference.
your tank, your beer is sitting in that tank the whole time. It needs to be quality. And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what hops you use. Like Mario said, you've got to have the base right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
No, this is very
Fair.
interesting. Personally, it has changed a bit of how my perspective
Nice.
about this
Absolutely.
whole thing
It
is.
is. Yeah.
I want to talk about a
Yeah.
bit about
Yeah.
because I understand that how you educate people, right? If you go and put this can on a supermarket, right? You're just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
You do like
That's
your
true.
your designers are the ones who are doing the job, right?
That's
Here,
true.
Yeah,
they design the best.
Yeah.
They put the information they need. you're just hoping for the best, right? That if
It says pants down.
mate,
Mario. That's Mario. That's a Mexican. It should be a Mexican lager.
mate, I would buy this. Just because,
Can't stop.
if I would
Ready?
see this, I would
Yeah.
buy this 100%
Yeah.
without knowing this.
But it tastes like shit.
but
You'll
my-
be disappointed for life.
Oh, 100%.
Ready?
If I pay, I don't know how much this costs, right? Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess
About
based on
under
the-
€5,
Yeah,
so
but
it's not
Really?
If I
bad.
say
Okay.
it's 4
Yeah.
euros,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I can get a cargo for 2 something.
Oh,
Double.
If this
It's
is not,
double.
yeah, if this is not good, I'll be disappointed.
And you'll
If
never
it-
buy it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
If it's good, I'll be like, oh, Matt Finn, right? And I'll think about it, and then I'll probably try this. My point here is
yeah.
when you do a cast in a supermarket or in a store, whatever, you're just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
But I want to segue kind of into what you got going on here, right? Because this is my first time here. We are in Pyynikin.
Yeah.
It's like Trikoo
Pyynikin
factory.
Trikoo.
Yeah.
Like
And
500K from Tampere.
Yeah.
hey,
Meters.
this is like a 20 minutes walk. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's
Drunk.
pretty close. But my whole point is like I didn't know about this place, and it's lovely, man. You have a really nice pizza oven.
It's beautiful.
You will see
Awesome, mate.
I'll put the video up here.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful pizzas, beautiful food, a really nice spot. You can get some beers here. You can get some small cakes that you can take home.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I think we've talked about the
Yeah.
service, right?
Yeah.
The service has been spot on.
Yes.
And you commented on it right away when
I
we
covered
came
right
here,
away.
right?
Dude.
Really?
yeah.
I did. I think that's something that turns customers. I don't know about Finnish people because I see these with different eyes, right? I come from a service country.
Yeah, Mexico.
Service in Mexico is very good.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
But when you come here and you
Yeah.
get this kind of service, I don't know where this guy is from. You were talking about it earlier. I was like,
Irish. What's that Irish name?
Irish Finnish.
Irish-
Lucas.
it's like
Lucas.
you get that really
Lucas,
nice,
fucking amazing
you
guy.
get a really nice service. You
Yes.
walk in.
I've been in the most.
His mum's Finnish.
Favorable
His
way.
dad's
Mate.
Irish.
I heard him speaking Finnish. I'm like,
If I just walk into this place, I don't know this place, let's check it out. Oh, we're a brewery, we have these. Let me recommend you these. You try nice beer, you have really good service. I think that's a very good way to convert customers, right? 'Cause
Exactly.
if I come here, I'll have a great experience. And
You
then,
will come
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
the next time I see this on the store, I'll be like, oh, I remember
Really?
the Mad Finn.
Yeah. Connection.
I think that's a very good,
Yeah, I mean,
very good way to convert.
yeah.
For
yeah,
Mad
yeah.
Finn, it's all about the people and the culture. That's all we say.
Well, it's the community,
And
right? At the end, building a
We
community.
we want to build the community because
Yeah.
Mad Finn's all about the people and the culture, but it's not about that. It's about how we go outside of Finland. And that was why we invented this brand, because
Yeah.
we didn't. It's all about the perception outside of Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even this guy, even Mario could be the Mad Finn. He's wearing the beanie. Like,
it is.
I mean, this guy, he's sold beer for
Hey,
a couple of different
I
breweries.
think we're all fucking Mad
Unbelievable.
Finns, mate.
I mean, at this
Hey.
point, we are. Eh?
Don't
Guys, if we want to know more about Matt Finn,
It's fucking amazing time here.
do you have some Instagram, Facebook? What's the
Mad
how can
Finn
we
pissed the
post?
fee.
Matt Finn Pista Fee. That's the way to
Wow.
go.
You follow Mario on OnlyFans?
El Mario y el Insta.
Mario Linsta at Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
Anything else you want to
The
plug?
legend.
No, thank you so
good.
much, guys.
thanks,
It was
guys.
very nice to meet you. Finally, to meet you
Awesome.
and talk about all
I
these
learned so
things.
much
Now
about
we can drink more Jägermeister.
Now we're gonna go to Alepuvi.
For 3 years.
In Tessima.
Eso me baltate, perros.
Pedro's Pub.
Pedro's Papa.
Thank you so much.
No mames.